Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kakadash. I'd like to give a double honor to the elders and to the apostles of GMS Great Millstone, who do rule well, and the salutation to the hopeful elect. It's your brother Damawa from the GMS Cleveland branch, coming back with another video. And pardon the voice, I'm a little hoarse, but the praise lesson be edifying. And basically, I ran across this. I was listening to it earlier, and basically, all right, these type of things go under the table. All right, they don't make this mainstream news really. All right, but come to find out, which we already knew this. All right, that they your government, all right, or your newscasters, right? They wasn't telling the whole truth. Okay, that American is getting their ass kicked in this war. All right, and also all the bases that they have around the world. Right, all those bases. Okay, it's getting tore down. All right, hit with missiles. All right, being targeted. Okay, and they basically ghost towns. Okay, and the damage that they receiving over there has been strategically, all right, left, all right, from the news for the information for the people over here in America. Okay, so basically, why you think that they doing that? All right, more importantly, because this nigga the devil. All right, okay, he gotta play every situation. All right, with the half truth. This nigga always lying. All right, the so-called white man, Esau Edom. Okay, but more importantly, all right, to fool the people over here in America, man. All right, to give you this fake sense of pride and foolishness. All right, to think that you're going to be joining a war. All right, that you're not going to win. All right, that you're not going to come back from. Okay, and basically, very soon, okay, they're going to be asking. All right, you people under these different Edomite countries, all right, like Germany and, Europe, and, okay, they're going to be asking for your kids, man, all right, to fight, okay, but they're not telling you, all right, that they're losing bad and they don't have no real strategy, okay, they basically, all right, going in with ill intentions, okay, because at the end of the day, you have to realize that with the moves that Iran is making and showing the world that they can hold off, all right, America, all right, which we know is through the spirit, all right, of the Lord, because the Lord wants these things to happen, all right, Amos, all right, the man, the Lord is a man of war, okay, so he the one who really controlling these things, all right, but with these bases being smashed like that, you have to understand that that's how the so-called white man enforces his authority in these other nations, all right, which keeps them, all right, in this loop of having to deal, all right, with the so-called white man, all right, which what? It keeps his dollar strong, okay, but with this move, all right, and with the BRICS, all right, all in alignment, okay, with the new standard of Iran selling oil and the Chinese yuan supposedly, okay, with all these different things, all right, it basically takes the so-called white man out of the seat of authority, all right, at least the Western hemisphere white man, all right, because you still got the Russians, okay, but besides the point, all right, so basically, America has to go to war, all right, and this is the part, okay, that you American people don't understand, all right, you think that their decisions is all about your comfort, all right, to hell with that, they trying to hold on, all right, to their dominance, okay, but real quick, let's get this, and then we're going to play that clip. Did I spell hammer wrong? Slocky, y'all give me a second. Jeremiah 50:23. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Okay, and we notice not talking about ancient Babylon, all right, because it's still over there up, okay, which is the area of Iraq, all right, but it's talking about now, all right, this Babylon, all right, okay, America, all right, which Babylon goes down, goes back to Babel, all right, 'cause that's where the Lord had tore down their tower and changed the language of the nations, okay, all right, headed by Nimrod, okay, but Babel also goes into what? Confusion, okay, because if you don't know another language and two people are conversating, you're going to be confused on what they're saying, all right, and America pushes out confusion, all right, fake freedom, fake food, all right, people being able to look like they changing their gender, all right, all these different things just bring confusion, all right, and at the end of it, it brings death, okay, but basically, how's this place being, how's the hammer of the whole earth being cut asunder, all right, well, we're seeing it, okay, because again, America has been able to impose their dominance by the way of these bases. That's why they can never have enough people to join the army. And when you have regular people, right, in the army over here in America, what they say, well, I did tours, okay, I did 3 tours, I did 4 tours, all right, and that's basically what that's going into, okay, that they had to leave for a certain amount of time to go in these different locations, all right, in the interest of the elites over here, okay, and they had to do or enforce whatever they wanted done in these areas, all right, and they do a whole lot of things that they don't tell people, all right, or be truthful about, okay, and they leave the soldiers all messed up, okay, and they use them, and when they bring them back, okay, you have to understand that these people are still faced with the same problems before they left, all right, but they coming back even more crazy, okay, so these people are just all the way around, okay, oppressive, all right, and their whole goal is to get the whole world under their rule, under their thumb, okay, but let's go and get into this clip right here.
Been said from the beginning. Now they're saying, oh, this, okay, so they have hit all of these things. The amount of destruction is far larger than what has been publicly acknowledged by the U.S. government or previously reported. What do you mean by that? It's greater than what was previously reported. You mean by you? Because there were a lot of others who were actually reporting this damage. They go on to say the threat of air attacks rendered some of the U.S. bases in the region too dangerous to staff at normal levels, and commanders moved most of the personnel from these sites out of the range of Iranian fire at the start of the war, officials have said. So that goes with the reporting that many of us have talked about, which is that some of the bases are basically ghost towns, that they had been abandoned. And that is exactly what this is saying, that commanders moved most of the personnel from these sites out of range of Iranian fire. What does that mean? That means out of the Middle East, because Iranian fire can hit all the way to Israel, which is on the other side. So I would say they were evacuated out almost entirely. Maybe they went to bases in Turkey, or maybe they went to bases, the other NATO bases in Europe. It goes on to say that satellite imagery of the Middle East is unusually difficult to acquire at present. 2 of the largest commercial providers, Vanter and Planet, have complied with requests from the U.S. government, their biggest customer, to limit, delay, or indefinitely withhold the publication of imagery of the region while the war is ongoing, making it difficult or impossible to assess Iran's counterstrikes. Those restrictions began less than 2 weeks into the war. However, Iranians...
Bam. Bam. So basically, they put up a roadblock, all right, for you people, all right, us Americans, well, you Americans, all right, all right, But basically, us over here in the Western Hemisphere, for us not to see what's really going on over there, okay? And best believe that's for a reason, okay? Because if they was winning and if they was being dominant, they'd be showing that shit all day on the news, all night on the news, okay? But since they're not, all right, they have been told, all right, and given that script, okay, that we know, all right, because they push out their lies and their propaganda, all right, by the way of their news, okay? And they've been given that script, okay, not to tell you people the truth, all right, and to make it seem like that they winning this thing, all right? And very soon they're going to be actually you or telling you or making you, all right, send your precious little children, all right, over here to go fight, man. Okay, a war that they know they can't win, but they have to fight it because the so-called white man doesn't see Earth continuing, all right, without him dominating, all right? And that's the pride that the Lord put on these people, okay? Because again, he likes to take out people, okay, by the way of their own wickedness, all right? And this goddamn devil think that he outsmarted everybody, all right? Let's get a couple quick ones real quick, and then we're gonna go back to it. Proverbs 16 and 18, all right? It says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. All right, because instead of them trying to work and be diplomatic, right, and work their way, okay, in a position to where they can eat and other countries can eat. All right, this goddamn man and his pride, okay, is telling him to fight up against a country that is strategically in a landmass that is hard to get in and even harder to get out, as well as them being in a line, all right, with other areas, all right, of that same landmass, okay, and they got just as much artillery as America, especially all together, okay, and this man is all the way on the other side of the country, okay, trying to control what comes in and come out, all right, from the east, okay, because that's where everything's come from. All right, especially nowadays, America doesn't produce anything really. Okay, it doesn't export a lot of things anymore. I think America is number one in chemicals and some other poison. All right, because they always push a poison. All right, but yeah, man. All right, so the Lord has got this man fighting a battle that he can't win. All right. Isaiah 14, verse 4 through 6, it says, matter of fact, start at 3. It says, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord should give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. All right. And that's talking about Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latino, Native Americans. All right. The Lord is going to save us, all right, from this captivity. All right. The 1/3, the 144. All right. The people that are saved. The people that are elected to be saved in the times that we're coming into. All right. And that's why we're talking about these things, because this time is near. Okay. Verse 4, it says that thou should take up a proverb against the king of Babylon, all right, and say, how have the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased, okay, and that's basically what the prophets, all right, starting with our beloved apostle Tahara on down, all right, and even his apostle, okay, out here in the streets corner, all right, telling this place, all right, telling the elites, all right, because as the scripture says, this word have reached the gates of the noble, all right, so these elites know that we out here. That's why they're trying to pass laws or passing laws, all right, to make it illegal for street preaching, okay, because if you have a building, if your preacher has a building, all right, that means that he has to, well, it doesn't mean that, but that means 9 times out of 10, all right, he has been compromised, all right, so he's not going to tell you the truth, and 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10, the Lord ain't dealing with them anyway. All right. But anywho, it says that thou shalt take up a proverb against the king of Babylon to say, how have the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. All right, because she's going to go into how many bases there are, and you could type it in yourself. All right, America probably still have, but they have the most bases, right? The most embassies, all right, across the world, all right, than any other nation. Okay, and this is how we know, all right, that this is that place, all right, because they've been able to not only control but influence, right, the whole world under their vibration by doing this. Okay, you always having people, all right, from America traveling over in these countries, spending years at a time, all right, influencing the residents that are nearest to them, all right, and that's how they push their wickedness, all right, in these different countries, all right, that woman feminism and all that madness, all right, and the people in these countries getting influenced by these things and by these Americans while they over here at these bases, all right. But it says here, how has the oppressor ceased? All right, because the Lord is raising up these other nations to start defending themselves, all right, and making a pact in the league with Russia, okay. And we've been telling you these people. We've been telling these people this, all right, but they've been acting like what we're saying is not important, because the scripture says, when the poor man speak, all right, nobody regard it, okay. But when the rich man speak, they roughly paraphrasing, they believe every word. And it also says that the simple believe it every word. All right. So these people are totally blind. Okay. They don't think that what they done worked so hard for over here in America, okay, it's about to be turned to ashes. Okay. To them, us speaking these things is crashing down on their dreams. All right. Because they're not looking forward for the kingdom of heaven. All right. But it says, the Lord have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. All right. So the Lord is going to basically take the power away, all right, from these elites over here. Okay. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. All right. And basically, as these people have been ruling, all right, even before America, all right, through the French, Britain, Greek, okay, they have been oppressive, and they continually find reasons, all right, to destroy people, to war with people, all right. World War One, World War Two, all right. These people have been busy in the earth, man, all right. But basically, his time is coming, and can't nobody stop it, all right. And that's why it's very important for you not to get hung up in what they putting out in the news, because it's all a facade. All right, Trump ain't about to stop this. All right, Iran ain't about to stop this. All right, and very soon Russia and China is going to get involved, because this is what the Lord wanted. All right, this is the day of the Lord. Okay, this is the will of the Lord. All right, but let's jump down real quick, and then we're gonna go back to the video. Verse 10, it says, all they should speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? All right, because now America has found themselves to push and push and push, and now they found themselves in a vulnerable position. Okay, and now that Iran has capabilities of affecting America, all right, it has made this man look weak in front of everybody. All right, he was marching around with all these great ships and name out the white people and shit. All right, what they call it, the housing hour or whatever they call that motherfucker. I don't even know how to pronounce the white dude name. All right, but they got these big giant ass ships and all these airplanes and the 53-5 bomber FR and all, man. Don't nobody care nothing about none of that shit. Okay, because the Lord have already judged that you people are going to go down by violence, all right, the so-called white man, because he has lived by violence, all right, and he has spilled blood, so blood is going to pursue him, pertaining to Ezekiel 35, all All right, but get back to it. Okay, they basically overplayed their hand. All right, and now they can't protect even what they just had structured. All right, and now Iran see how it's going. They ain't about to stop. All right, because they don't trust nobody. Don't trust the white man. He done burned so many bridges. This nigga word is not dependable. All right, and you'll be a fool to trust him. Okay, the only people that still trust the so-called white man is your 2/3 Negroes, Latino, Native Americans. Okay, because for some reason or another, you still think that you benefit being in line with this man. All right. Verse 10, it says, all they should speak and say unto thee, oh, I'm slacking. Verse 11, it says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of the vows, and the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. All right. So this man pride, okay, is about to put him, all right, in the state of being destroyed. All right. Verse 12, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? All right. And Lucifer doesn't mean Satan. All right. Basically, it goes into the elites. All right. Because they the one who have the secret knowledge. Okay. And they the ones who've been living high off the hog. All right. Basically behind closed doors, controlling the life that you live in. All right. But it says how thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations. All right. And that's basically what these people fighting for, right? America right now, so-called had a peace meeting, a peace deal, right? And basically what they wanted them to hand over, all right, missiles, all right, that would normally defend them or would be able to defend them. Basically, America want these other countries to lay down anything that will stop them from steamrolling their ass. All right. So this man is always making deals, all right, to weaken these nations. Okay. But the only thing they got coming, all right, is it's an evil time, man. The so-called white man. It's time for his judgment to start, all right? And it's not about to be a one-day thing off the top, all right? The Lord's about to make these people suffer slowly, not slowly, but methodically. He's about to take piece by piece from their ass, all right? And a part of it is your children, okay? It says, Isaiah 14:21, it says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. All right. And that's another reason why when you go into the declining birth rates of the so-called white man, all right, it's all about design. All right. The Lord anger and the Lord judgment is still aimed on 2/3 of his people, all right? But now that aim is beginning more and more on the so-called white man, okay? So, and it's going to be passed down to his children, all right? Because of what they have done to the children of Israel, all right?
State-affiliated news agencies, however, have from the start regularly published high-resolution satellite imagery on their social media accounts that claim to document damage to U.S. sites. For this examination, one of the first comprehensive public accounts of the damage to U.S. facilities in the region, the Post reviewed more than 100 high-resolution Iranian-released satellite images. So I want you to hear that sentence again. The Post reviewed more than 100 high-resolution Iranian-released satellite images. So when they say more than 100, they mean short, like barely over 100, because if it was like 110 or 120, they would say that, okay? And then they go on to say the Post verified the authenticity of 109 of those images by comparing them with lower resolution imagery from the European Union satellite system, Copernicus, I think is the name of that, as well as high resolution images from Planet where available. So basically, they have 109 images from Iran, and they were able to verify all 109 of them. And they say the Post excluded 19 Iranian images. Okay, so they had a few more than 109. So they had 120. So the Post excluded 19 Iranian images from the damage analysis because comparisons with the Copernicus imagery were inconclusive. So they couldn't really tell. It was a little too blurry. But they said no Iranian imagery was found to have been manipulated. And these are the images they show of damaged assets, damaged military assets across the region. And it's not just Washington Post that is reporting on this. CNN has also reported on this. Watch at the same time. I mean, it's a bit suspicious that they're all coming out at the same time with this. Like they get their marching orders. You know, it's like, okay, now we could talk about the damage to the U.S. bases because why exactly? Because somebody now, the powers that be, the true, you know.
Right. Like the true people who's making these decisions. That's what really matters, because that's who the Lord is specifically, a big part of the people that he's using, all right, to make sure that these prophecies is going to come to pass, are your elites, all right? And that's why the people don't understand the moves that they're making, okay? Because we're telling you, they're going to go to war. They don't have no choice. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart, all right, which heart goes into lie, all right, which goes to your mind. So the king's mind is in the hand of the Lord. As rivers of water, he turneth it whatsoever he will, all right? And we know what his will is. He said in Joel 3, I believe, my determination is to gather the nations, all right, and bring them down to the house of, bring them down to Armageddon, all right, which goes into the house of Jehoshaphat, all right, which is Yahweh Shaphat, all right, which goes into the Lord's judgment, okay, which is going to be over there in the Middle East region, all right, which is also called the Levant, all right. So yeah, man, like the Lord has got this thing working and speeding up, all right, for the elect's sake.
People who control the levers of all the power want the war to end. So now they want to expose the fact that, yeah, U.S. bases are being pummeled by Iran, so we're not actually winning on this thing. So anyway, here's CNN's report that just happened to come out at around the same time as this Washington Post report.
Camp Buehring, Kuwait. American soldiers enjoying a karaoke night at one of the biggest U.S. military hubs in the Gulf. That was then. This is now. A once bustling American microcity in the desert, nearly empty and heavily damaged after a weeks-long barrage of Iranian missiles and drones. One of many U.S. military facilities in the oil-rich Arabian Peninsula, targeted by Iran even as the U.S. and Israel pummeled the Islamic Republic's large arsenal. So what impact have Iran's strikes had on America's footprint in the Middle East? A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now. A U.S. source familiar with the situation told us that they'd never seen anything like this at American bases, that these were rapid, targeted strikes using it.
You see, I never seen anything like this before, right, at these American bases, okay? And that's how, all right, matter of fact, let's go back to that real quick. Isaiah 14, verse 10, it says, all they should speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? All right, and that's why the president of China told Donald Trump the other day, hell no, all right, we ain't following your goddamn sanctions. All right, we're going to continue to buy this oil, all right? And they said then, they said, damn, everything is changing because China never would have got at America like that. All right, as well as Iran. Now, like, are they knocking them off the map? All right, because again, they already got tied in the financial part anyway, meaning the BRICS, all these other countries. Okay, so they already have a system there. It's just the dollar was still stronger. Okay, but as this war continuing on, all right, and you find it out more and more, all right, that behind the scenes, because America has been ignoring, all right, their losses or what's been going on, all right, from the other side. Basically, they just tell you what they do to them, all right. Basically, they show you video image of airplanes leaving these, what you call them, carriers, right, out there in the ocean, and basically dropping bombs on these areas. But they're not showing you, all right, those Iranian drones, okay, which they cannot stop, all right, or which is hella cheaper, all right, to make, okay, has been taxing their ass, all right. And again, they're going to send your kids over here, all right, to be cannon food, man. All right, but Isaiah 14:10, it says, all they should speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we, art thou become like unto us, okay? Because now America has become touchable, all right? And that was the reason why they was able to put up these bases, okay, all over the country, because last time America really showed their power, all right, they dropped those 2 bombs on Japan, all right? And that was never done before, okay? So the other nations, all right, kind of went along with whatever this man was talking about, okay? But throughout the years, the Lord have been increasing these nations, all right, to be able to not only defend themselves, but be ready, all right, in the day of vengeance, okay? And as the scripture says, the Lord created spirits for vengeance, all right? And so these spirits have been creating missiles, all right, that's going to eventually end this place.
Technology. Iran's main targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft, like this Boeing E-3 Sentry, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million. Critical communications equipment.
For a airplane. For a airplane. And you people think that these are not the man of sin, right? Y'all think that these are not the people, okay, that King David was talking about. All right, keep me from the man of war. This nigga whole existence has been nothing but war. All right, $500 million, nigga. Not $500,000, $500 million for one plane. And that motherfucker got a, he got a hole. They put a hole in that joint. All right, so these people not only losing their power, but they losing money. All right, and that's why they robbing the shit out of you Americans. Still making you think that you could believe in these different pyramid schemes that they got going on, but eventually you're gonna wake up very soon one morning and your bank account's gonna be gone. Everything's gonna be wiped out. All right. But real quick, let me play this other clip real quick, and then we'll close this out. Check this out, man, because the Lord is waking. hey, start worrying, okay? Start worrying, you people out there, okay? Because now the Lord is waking up to 2/3 now, all right? They ain't gonna be woke, all right, to the point to be saved, but they're gonna start understanding, all right? Because the truth is out here, man, all right? It ain't no denying it, okay? And people just everywhere, even on the internet, is starting to wake up to the bullshit, all right, that's been pushed to them, fed to them, all right, taught to them, okay, throughout the years of this government, all right, and how things are ran over here in America. And that's the will of the Lord, all right, because before the Lord destroys America, he's going to expose, all right, he's going to bring shame to this place, okay.
People ain't know that. I was in the Marine Corps. People ain't know that. But unlike you, I ain't proud of that. Because uppity white people kept thanking me for service, so I felt foul for that. I was running with grown-ass men who would drop a bomb where a child was at. They say they turned me to a man. It turns out that's where the cow was at. Nah, because niggas hollering, God bless the troops while the Lord's watching. Like he don't notice your prophet and your prophet is your prophet. Boy, stop it. You don't even know how the war started. You just couldn't afford college. It's free money. It's good to afford college. I had the same dream as Martin. I woke up and absorbed knowledge. Acting like because they paying us well, this shit is fine. I realized I got enemies too. And I get held for killing theirs, but jailed for killing mine.
Hey, man. Hey, man, Jake waking up. And if you saw that dude right there in the middle, right there, Edom might look at him, man. This nigga always around. He's always somewhere in the crowd. But when you go back and watch that clip, all right, when he was spitting on their dumb ass, he turned his head totally sideways. All right, because these people are ashamed, believe it or not, because they try to make it seem like that being conquerors and always starting the war is something to be proud of. All right, but we all know what that means. Nigga, you the problem child. You the problem with the earth, all right? And one thing about the elites is over the times, they always found ways to trick the masses of people when they came together to understand that they were the problem because they were the ones that wanted to control everybody, all right? And that's why they say on the Georgia Guidestones, which they tore down, all right, is that they want to depopulate the earth. All right, so they think that they the Most High. They think that they can make decisions over creation. All right, so they are totally, all right, ready to be brought down, and the Lord is about to cut their ass down like a tree. Okay, right now we are in the stages of saying timber. Okay. Let's close down on this. Sirach 41 and 7. It says the children will complain of an ungodly father because they should be reproached for his sake. Right. So basically, these people, right, so-called white man, Esau, Edom, all right, their grandchildren, all right, like the young Edomites you see today, okay, they're not really as proud as the previous Edomite on the things that they have done. Okay? And they really can't get a break nowhere they go, all right, because everybody is basically pointing out, all right, that you can't trust the so-called white man. Okay? Verse 8, it says, woe be unto you, ungodly man, which have forsaken the law of the Most High, for if ye increase, it should be for your destruction. All right? So don't worry about these elites, all right, doing these things, building these bunkers, making life harder, all right? Because the Lord is telling you they're not about to get away, and their plan is not about to, going to go all the way through, all right? He's going to smack their food out their mouth when they get ready to eat, meaning when they think that they about to have or seize control over the world, that's when the Lord is going to come back and take it from them. All right, so with that, our praise lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. I want to give Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of GMS Great Millstone. Shalom.